the head of Policy Research and Advocacy in the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, and you do have, moments that you talk to, the government and the powers that be. Do you usually float these ideas? What is the reception from the government?
The government listens, but to a certain extent, there are moments that you're not heard.
Right.
Subsequently, then you realize there's an adoption of a proposal, and they see, oh, this is a very good idea. But there are other bureaucracies around that idea that deters its implementation. And we have seen that in many instances. Like now, the cost of power has been a debate that we have been talking about for very many years. But every year, we are not seeing a de-escalation on the tariff. We are seeing revision of the tariffs upward. Like now, that happened last year in April 2023. And also even the subsidies that have been provided were withdrawn. So you see instances that government is adopting what we are discussing with them. For instance, in the Finance Act 2023, we had like now the VAT exemption on the export services. From the 16% now it was put as VAT exempt. There is also what we call EBITDA. That is, EBITDA is, had a formula whereby 30%, there was a 30% restriction on the interests that accrue out of the normal the local loans, but that again was exempted. So that means you can be able to claim 100% of the interest on the local loans through EDIBA. So you find there are instances the government is adopting something, but there are other instances you find, and probably that's where the Pareto principle comes in. The government can sit down and say, if we implement 20% of these proposals, they are going to bring 80% of the change that is desired. And I think it's at that point that now we need to get to the government. We tell them that if you tick this box, this is the effect that it's going to have on the economy. And today, when we are doing the launch of Manufacturing Priority Agenda 2024, we told the government we are ready to sit down and come up with key performance indicators. Give us this, and we're going to promise you these jobs. We're going to promise this number of investments. We're going to, so that it is not the private sector that is just taking, but also the government is seeing the result of what it is sacrificing for the private sector.
And policies are usually formulated for the private sector. That is what the government keeps telling us. Now, Joseph, of course, as we start to conclude this particular conversation, do you believe that you are being heard as manufacturers? Is this something that you have floated? All the problems that we've been talking about tonight, do you believe that there are steps to solve them?
So I would say it's a yes and no kind of situation.
Catch-22.
Catch-22.
Right.
Because I have been in forums even with the head of state, and the heart is in the right place, right? Listens, knows, as long as you present the case and you can be able to actually articulate what the contribution of that would be to the economy, then you're easily supported. But the bureaucracies that go with it is the biggest problem. And that is what Job was trying to say here. You can have a great idea, and then there's sometimes also greed checks in, because amongst ourselves in the marketplace, you'll find somebody else has a different agenda, which is selfish, because they make probably money as a result. But as an industry, you've not looked at it as a global. What is the impact of that globally today? Right now, we are struggling with the cost of paper that we used to pack our, from cement to unga itself, going up because of a certain duty that has been imposed, claiming that you can be able to produce that locally. But that local production is not being seen. But I don't know if somebody's setting up or what. But in the meantime, I am forced to pass that expensive pricing on the packaging to a consumer because I cannot be able to bear that cost. So looking at it holistically, I think there's goodwill. The goodwill is there. And I can't say it will come easy. It's continuous engagement between ourselves in the private sector and the government to be able to see to it that we're supported. The Ministry of Trade and Industrialization under CS Miano today, I want to commend her because she's been a listening ear Whenever we have issues, we actually raise, and she'll give you a meeting to be able to articulate the issues.
Right.
But one thing she'll warn is there's a whole process to a change. It might be painful, but it's a journey we're willing to walk.
Right.
So if you have any issue that can be able to transform the sector, transform the industry, and especially where I, as KAM, my chairman, Rajan, is championing agriculture for industry,
right.
which is dear to especially my sector,
right?
So I see, that advocacy that Job and team are playing to be able to go out there and trying to see that we push these agendas to be heard and be able to pass them through. I think is so much welcome, and probably speaking to the government, please continue listening to us. Whatever we are doing is not just for the sake for profits that you would think, but it's for increasing those numbers that you are talking about. Contribution to GDP and employment for our people. Which is very important. Correct.
Now, with just a minute left, Job, I have to give you a chance to give your parting shot. This is a very equal forum. Yes. What would you say is your parting shot?
My parting shot is that let's work for the common good.
Right.
From where we all sit. Self-interest, greed should be dropped. And that is what is going to make this country move from where we are today, or moving in a cyclic manner, to where the developed nations are.
Right.
And the discussion that we're having today, because we are an agrarian nation, we have comparative advantage around these. If we can hold hands together from the Ministry of Agriculture, county government, because it's a devolved role, from the private sector, the associations, I believe we can see a change in the country.
Right. And change, of course, is always for the good. They always say that the only constant in this life is change.